Welcome to the Beebodi Marketplace, where we treat, support, and invigorate our human bodies. My name is Kayla Natural B, and this is Beebodi Talks. Today, I am so thrilled to have a special guest, sister and friend of mine, Miss Rae-Dawne John. She is the queen of the islands, in my opinion. Um, she is in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I had the pleasure of meeting her on one of her FreeSpirit retreats. Truly, it was a gift. It was life changing for me. And I still take moments that I had with those incredible women just under a week. And I'm still reflecting and unpacking from all of the gems that she gave us. So today, I want to chat with her because we are both healing practitioners. But the question is, or I should say, the topic is, what about the healers? Healers also need healing. So, Ray, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kayla. I am thrilled to be here. And as I just shared with you, it feels great to be in this space.
Yes, it feels so good to be in the space with you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how are you?
I am many things, but I am well. I would say overall, I'm doing good, but I am many things, as I'm sure we all are many things, right?
Yes, absolutely. Now, listen, this is a vulnerable and safe space. Feel free to be honest. Um, you
hmm
know, I want to just pose the question right out the gate. What is it about healers that people may not know, and specifically you? So tell us about your offerings as a teacher, and then maybe
hmm
just tell the listener something that they may not really know about Rae-Dawne.
Okay, so I am Rae-Dawne, Ray for short or Sky for short. I don't think a lot of people know that. My husband actually calls me Sky when we first met. That became a name. So Rae-Dawne Sky. I am a certified yoga instructor. I am a doula. I am a wellness practitioner on a whole. Yeah, I think, and I'm a mom, most importantly. I'm a mom of two boys and I'm a wife as well.
Amazing. Yes, literally, you are many things.
Many things.
So, in that, it comes with joy and fulfillment and all these wonderful things. But what does it also come with? What may be something that people may not know that,
Right.
as, yeah.
Yeah, what they don't know about me, I suffer from imposter syndrome. Um, I really and it has so many parts to it, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I suffer from imposter syndrome, and suffer is strong. I experience imposter syndrome from time to time, especially in my line of work, especially based on my location. Um, it's not always easy to feel confident in who you are and what you're doing. And then you add that with the experience of imposter syndrome. Yeah, it's quite a combination. But equally, as I am aware of what I experience, I am also very much in tune to the things that I need to do and the conversations I need to have with myself to tap into my personal power to move past imposter syndrome. But I mean, I navigate it from time to time.
Yes. Thank you for that honesty.
Yeah.
And that seems like a very evolved realization that you have there. You're able to
hmm
recognize it, but it sounds like
hmm
you started the journey of, healing parts of those maybe broken pieces that come up every now
Correct.
and then.
Correct.
When did you first realize you were dealing with imposter syndrome?
Um, I think when I came back to St. Vincent, because I lived in St. Kitts and Nevis for a few years with my husband. So I think when I came back to St. Vincent and it was now time, I mean, actually, I could even date it back to St. Kitts, but bringing it to St. Vincent, when I came back to St. Vincent and it was now time for me to offer all the things that I had gained in St. Kitts, because I was already teaching in St. Kitts, I was doing meditation, I was doing yoga, but now it was time for me to launch. my business, FreeSpirit here in St. Vincent, I doubted so much that I was capable. I doubted if I was good enough to do it. I doubted if it would be well received. Um, and I remember my mentor, who was the person who certified me in yoga. Her name is Sonia Fraser. And I remember, having a conversation with Sonia. And the story I was telling myself at the time and the story I was telling her was, I don't feel capable because I don't think Vincentians would appreciate this work, because it would be fairly new, even though there were, yoga instructors that would have passed over the years. And then there was one lady who, she was based in St. Vincent operating and teaching yoga. Um, I was just telling myself a story, and she asked me a question, and she was like, is that story really true? What is it based in? Is it really that you're concerned that it may not be well received, or is it that you don't think you're capable and you're not worthy? And when she said it, I was like, wow, ouch, and we do that from time to time. We tell ourselves stories because we don't want to really get to the root of it. Because for me to have acknowledged that I don't think I'm capable of doing it means that I would have had to dig deeper. Where is this coming from? Why is this story showing up for me? So I would say that was a big aha moment for me where imposter syndrome is concerned. As I mentioned, I would have experienced it in St. Kitts as well. But that was really profound for me in that not only was it like, aha, wow, this is really imposter syndrome, but also I noticed my ability to be aware and to try to walk past it or move past it.
Wow, that's so powerful. We're
Mm-hmm.
all telling ourselves a story. We're
Mm-hmm.
not quite ready to get to the root of it. And we're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with denial and almost a bit of disillusionment because we're just trying
Correct.
to walk past and just completely shade the truth. Like,
Correct.
no,
Correct.
no.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the times, the stories we tell ourselves that are not necessarily the truth or the core of the matter, it is because we don't want to face what it means, because there is the possibility that you now have to hold yourself accountable as well. It is not somebody else's fault. It is now possibly my fault. And I don't want to face that, you know?
Ooh. Lay it on them. Tell them all the truth.
Thank you. But I
Yes.
mean, if you think about
Yes.
it, like think about it for a second, Kayla.
Yeah.
Like we are so often in victimhood that that's our story. That's the storyline. And it's always somebody else's fault. And I'm not negating that. Yes, it may be somebody else's fault in some instances, but you come back to it. There are the other instances where it's you. And we don't like facing ourselves. It's always easy to point and blame, and this person's the problem, or this person did this, and blah 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 blah. So I think it's important to have your aha moments where you're like, "Whoa, holy shit! Wait, hmm, this is why I'm doing this," and then, and I like to call it shadow work, where you really go deep and you dig in to all aspects, you know. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna ramble on. Sorry.
Please. No, all of this is great. All of this
Yeah,
is so key for us to hear out the gate because
yeah.
when we think of healing, I think so many people see this imaginary gloss, the sheen, the shine, this wonderful
The
flowers
glitz,
and
the glamour.
sunshine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But to
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
there, you have to go through the valleys to get to the
Mm-hmm.
hills.
Through the throes.
You have to,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. And
Of
so,
course.
so you pointed out earlier that when imposter syndrome creeps up on you, you
Mm-hmm.
have a point where you go through healthy self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
dive more into that? Because, you know, why the healer needs healing is first to acknowledge that we're all dealing with something. And so
Mm-hmm.
now, how has that been helping you to get out of that space?
So when I get into the throes of uh, imposter syndrome, one thing I'm learning to do, I should say, is not to rush to the other end, the better end, so to speak. Um, because even in the negative experiences, and imposter syndrome can be considered a negative experience, you can learn something. There's something you don't want to miss from that period before you just kind of jump to, oh, I feel better now and I have control now and I'm confident. And that's what I would love for people to understand that. Like, I know it's not easy. I know it doesn't feel good, but sometimes we have to sit, even if it's for 2 minutes. I'm not telling you to sit there for a whole week and then kind of spiral out of control, but you have to sit. So what I'm learning to do before, what I did was this toxic positivity thing. So a negative emotion arises and it's just like, oh no, I don't want to feel it. I'm ready to just get to the next side. Oh, I feel great. I haven't done the work. I haven't sat with that emotion to see what is arising and what needs my attention. I'm just kind of simply moving on. And I realized I was doing that. And so I'm very intentional. I don't always get it right. It has the days where I really just want to get to the next side. But the other days, I really sit down and I feel what I'm feeling. What is it teaching me? What am I really concerned about? So let's take my business for example, and I host retreats. I would have gotten nervous, or even in the planning stages, imposter syndrome is heavy. Who do you think you are? You're like a little island girl. Like, who do you think you are? Why you think you can dream big like the international people and all the big influencers? And then, you have to sit with that, the narrative that you're feeding yourself, and you have to really dig deep. And it really comes down to, I think, belief in ourselves and our worth and what we deserve. I'm not going to get too much into that. But then from that point, I realize I sit with it in most instances. I try. And then I go from, okay, cool. This is what is showing up. I think I've pinpoint the lessons that I need and what needs my attention. And then I start actively working on that. And I start going, are you crazy? You are a child of God. You deserve every living thing that the biggest billionaire in the world has. You deserve, the love that comes from a beautiful family, a warm, loving family. You deserve everything. Like, we gotta stop thinking, um, you know, the billionaire is the bigger child of God. We are all equally children of God, you know? So I start tapping in to that personal power where I'm like, I can have anything I want. I can achieve anything I want. I have to do the work. Because faith without work, it's pointless. So I have to do my part as well. But I really just kind of tap into my magic. I really love talking about my magic, and I think we all have our magic. I know my magic. I strongly believe in my magic. And I just come back to that. And I'm like, you are a child of God. You're worthy. You can achieve everything. You're going to be the one who's going to break the mold. That kind of thing.
You've done it already. You've done it already.
Well,
when I tell you, I was not prepared to be in paradise, in Bequia, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but I just so happened to scroll and see Rae-Dawne's retreat. I just so happened to be at a point of need in my life where, catch this, because our topic is the healer needs healing. A few months ago, I had just had a retreat myself and I was worn out. Do you hear me? I was worn out. I gave everything. Transparently, I was in a relationship that ended up not even succeeding past that moment. There was a lot of disappointment. There was a lot of devastation. There was a lot of loss that I was dealing with in that moment of actually hosting my retreat. Even though I was showing up, even though I did the work and detoxed and, everybody enjoyed the classes and they kept doting about how they had a great time and all these things, I was drained. My heart was heavy and I did not have a place to unpack that. But when I saw your retreat, you gave me an opportunity to come, to just sit, to be myself. And it was such a gift, and it's still continuing to give to me when I look back on the memories and the pictures and the moments. So I don't care about any billionaire.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Europe, Canada, Nepal, India,
yeah,
Bali. I was
yeah,
at the Free Spirit retreat and I got
yeah.
fed and my soul
Mm-hmm.
was filled. And had
Mm-hmm.
you not tapped into doing the work, the shadow work, being honest with yourself, sitting with yourself, having
Mm-hmm.
that talk and remembering that you are a child of God, you wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
been able to show up for me and so many women who really were blessed and
Yeah.
touched by that retreat. So thank you.
You are welcome, but thank you for sharing that. As a practitioner, while we should never live on validation, humans on a whole, it is always good to know and see the impact, your presence, and the work that you do have. And I'm not just talking about my work as a businesswoman, owner of Free Spirit. I'm talking about even the personal work. So even your comments to me in this moment, it validated that personal work as well, because the work I do on a personal level, then I take into all other aspects of my life, including my career, my business.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
that's what our work really is. It's a sharing, it's an
Mm-hmm.
exchange,
Mm-hmm.
it's flow. And I think when we get into the Eurocentric Western like corporate approach of I have to have thousands of people, I have to make all this money, it has to be a packed out venue in order for me to make
Mm-hmm.
impact. That's also where
Mm-hmm.
things like the imposter syndrome will creep in, or
Of
feelings
course.
of not enoughness,
Of
or
course.
we're not able to get fed because
Yeah.
it's both happening. So
Mm-hmm.
it's also really important for our listeners to know, you mentioned on a personal level what you do for imposter syndrome, but how do you prepare for a class or a workshop
Mm-hmm.
or a retreat? What are some of the healing mechanisms that you go to help you
Mm-hmm.
prepare to offer to others?
So I am a big journal girly. Like I am very big on journaling. So typically when I am heading into, let's say I have to give a talk, host a retreat, or before, one of my weekly classes, and I find myself nervous in any way, I try to ground myself. So how do I ground myself? It would be journaling as well. Like this morning, I woke up, and I wasn't feeling terrible, but my energy felt a little lopsided. And, I just picked up my book and I literally wrote about everything that was heavy on my mind and heavy on my heart. And that is a way I ground myself. And then, of course, immediately after, it's heading into prayer and then it's heading into meditation. Those are the things that I really do. I would say, in essence, to ground myself so I can show up as God intended. And I always say to God, two things I say to God. Let me do the work that you want me to do, but also align me with the people that need my work and who I need as well. When I hold that mentality and that mindset, I think I'm channeling a particular frequency, and then naturally the people who need me and who I need. Because while I may be the instructor, the teacher, or the guide, I believe strongly in being a student of life, and I learned so much from my community. For example, when we were in Beckway last year at the retreat, just sitting and sharing that space. My weekly yoga classes here as well. I always joke with them that my favorite part is sitting and talking, and that grounds me as well. Um, and just having that exchange. So I think what I was saying was I'm not only a guide, I am also a student of life.
Yes.
Everybody I come in contact with, I'm learning something from.
Yeah.
Everybody, even the person I don't like.
Yeah. Those lessons are important.
Let
And
me tell you, let me tell you. Just the other day, I was thinking of um, somebody in my life who triggers me. And I was like, they are literally the catalyst to you pivoting into a new version of yourself. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I can blame them as much as I want. I could be annoyed and upset with them as much
Hmm.
as I want, and it doesn't take away how I feel. It never does. But it's coming outside of just being stuck in your emotion and seeing things for what they are. Everybody who triggers you in a good or a bad way, they are the catalyst for your pivoting in some way, your change.
Yeah, it's like the caterpillar. You're in there, it's tight, it's uncomfortable, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I just want
Mm-hmm.
to break free. And God is like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, I'm still working on your
Way.
wings.
Correct.
And then when you,
I've been thinking about that, Kayla. I've been
really?
thinking about that actually. I've been thinking about um we are always so eager and ready to get to the next stage, to be whatever we want to achieve. And in that being the case, we may not be ready. We may not have the necessary knowledge to impart on others as yet. We may not have the experience. Like God is just like, nah, stay put. Use this time to become better at the different areas in your life before you pivot into
Refinement.
the next. Hmm.
Yes,
Refinement.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Ray, this
Yeah.
has been so good. Just hearing
Hmm.
from you, feeling your energy, taking
Hmm.
in the wisdom and the nuggets that you have discovered. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for
You're
sharing and
welcome.
pouring into us
You
this
are
this
welcome.
day. We appreciate you.
Uh,
So
Thank
tell
you.
us where we can find you and stay connected to you and learn more.
Sure. You can connect with me on FreeSpirit SVG at Instagram, or on Instagram rather. And of course via email, I'm old school, FreeSpiritSVG at gmail.com.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Alrighty. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Beebodi Talks, and remember to treat, support, and invigorate your human bodies. We'll see you next time.